Welcome to Discovering 615. Today, your host, Rob Thacker, welcomes Margarett Kernell of Topstitch Embroidery Plus as she shares how she built her business from the ground up, the perks of running a boutique operation, her heart for first responders, and the power of authentic relationships. This episode's stitched with heart, hustle, and hometown pride. Let's dive in.
This has been good.
Yes, very good.
Any exciting things coming up? Or
Let's see. We just hired our second project manager, so that gives us, in addition to myself, I've got a full-time sales manager, and then I've got 2 project managers.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so lots of exciting things, lots
Well,
of
good.
plans to scale up this year.
Good deal. Good deal. Good. That's great. So, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Discovering 615. I'm your host, Rob Thacker, and I'm here today with Margarett Kernell with the Topstitch Embroidery Plus.
Yes.
So, Margarett, welcome to Discovering 615. So glad to have you today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's get into the how did you end up here in Tennessee, in the Nashville, Hendersonville area, and with your business and everything like that?
Okay, well, this is my 14th year in business, and we started off in St. Louis, Missouri. And I was previously a high school marketing teacher. And just with 3 growing boys, the state of education, a husband that traveled, I needed a change. I was just worn out. And I had a girlfriend. She was actually my mentor in teaching, that they owned this business. My husband, all he's known all his life is retail. And it was something that he had mentioned, hey, I would, have you ever thought about doing, a business that sells T-shirts, because we have boys that wear in sports.
Right.
And I never put much thought into it until one day I was speaking with my girlfriend, and I said, hey, how's business going? And she says, she's like, it's just awful. I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, well, why are you not making money? And she's like, no, all I do is I teach all day, and then I come home and work on shirts all night and all weekend. And we parted ways. And then the next day, I kind of just had an epiphany that this was meant to be. So fast forward a few months later, we were the owners of Topstitch Embroidery Plus.
Okay. So that's, and I love the name because it's definitely different.
Yeah.
How did the name, in terms of the concept development of that and the name, come about? Was it already in existence?
No. My husband and I came up with it together. I honestly, with 3 boys, we're big baseball fanatics.
Okay.
And when I was thinking of the name, I was thinking of baseball stitches.
Okay.
And it just, I don't know, somehow Topstitch Embroidery Plus came about. We added the plus on there because, in the beginning it was just embroidery and it was just screen printing. But I knew that there was a potential that we wanted to grow. So, but we didn't know what that looked like.
Right.
So I added the word plus on there just to give room for expansion. So sure enough later, so to get back to your question about how we ended in Nashville, coming from St. Louis, it was 2013, and my husband, who works for Dollar General Corporation, got a promotion. And with that promotion, we had to move.
Okay.
So about 1.5 years, 2 years into owning my business with a nice client base, I had to pick up and move the business here.
Oh, wow.
So we ended up in Hendersonville, and my main client base at that point in time was first responders, fire departments, ambulance districts, that type of business. And they, I reached out to them and they said, we don't care where you go. We just keep doing what you're doing and we'll follow you anywhere.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that was, I guess, going on 12 years ago.
And then again, getting into, so you guys basically started with, you said first responders.
Yeah.
Is there a heart there for the
there is.
first responders?
Oh my goodness, there is. Very much so. We're very supportive. In fact, my middle son just graduated from the Metro Nashville Police Department back this last month. So we have a first responder in our family.
Great. That's great. There's something in common. Our oldest is looking at in Avon Lake area, the Ohio area, getting into police work as well.
Yeah, so yes. He graduated right out a year ago with his degree in criminal justice and psychology. So this is kind of not probably going to be his life plan, but it's kind of like a stepping stone to whether it be FBI, Secret Service. But anyway, yes, we love first responders.
That's great. That's fantastic. So what you mentioned moving, you had your client base in St. Louis and you moved here. So what are some of the challenges, successes when you were moving here from St. Louis, the Missouri area? Were there any challenges, and what challenges do you guys face now and those sort of things?
I think the biggest challenge is learning to pivot. We've been through a lot over the last, particularly since 2020.
Right.
And so I had to learn as a business owner how to pivot to meet the needs of the client. And as well as, maintaining, it's great to maintain our current client base. It's wonderful, but I want more.
Right.
So we had to figure out how to get more, what kind of strategies. I always say what goes up must come down.
Right.
So, and I'm sure you say that, a lot in the real estate market.
Yes.
So it's the biggest challenge is just being able to pivot, being able to be creative, being able to come up with a way to not only maintain our clients, but make them loyal.
Right. Okay. Which is crucial in any business, small business, client loyalty, which I imagine is a lot of follow-up, just as in the real estate world.
Just, hey, checking in, want to say hi. And somebody asked me a question not too long ago. It was at the beginning of the year when I was planning for the year. And she asked me the question. She says, well, how do you thank your clients? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? The fact that, they're getting to do business with me is thank you enough. But no, in all sincerity, it's making sure that you don't lose contact with that client, that it's staying right in the forefront. So as soon as they think, oh, I need, branded apparel, branded merchandise, I'm the first one they think of.
Right. Yeah. Always stay at forefront of the mind. So
exactly.
What does that look like for you in terms of staying in touch with your clients? Is there certain things that you do to stay in touch with those clients?
I like to think outside the box. Okay. I don't like to inundate clients with emails.
Right.
I don't like to inundate them with phone calls. I do little follow-up touches. I'll do a little thank you card. I like handwritten thank you cards. And the biggest thing is if I come up with a great idea, well, I shouldn't say if I come up. If I see a great idea, that's when I will text. I do a lot of work by text.
Right.
Especially with some of the corporations that I'm working with right now. They're the 20-something crowd. That's how they communicate. So I will shoot off a text saying, oh my gosh, I just saw this cool thing. I think you would love it.
Yeah.
Or, so I always am trying to come up with creative ways to make their life easier. I don't know how to put it, so they don't have to remember, I remember for them.
Right.
Like they'll tell me, hey, I'm going to have this event in July. I'll probably be reaching out with you to you later. As the date comes along, I'll follow up and say, hey, you got an event coming up in July. Don't forget, we need to get this project going.
Oh, that's great. So basically you take the initiative with things like that.
Yeah.
Which even marks you as different than some of these other probably industries that do not take the initiative
it is. It's touch with purpose.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's exactly what it is. It's touch with a purpose. It's not just a random email. It's not. It's intentional.
Yeah, and I like what you said about texting, because that's majority of my business when I reach out to my sphere of influence database. I think as well as either I DM them on Instagram, or which is another way of texting, or it's text messages. I get higher. Yeah, I think you get higher
Well, yeah,
return
well,
with
you
this
have
group
to,
too.
right, you have to cater to the crowd. And that's the end thing with the crowd right now. That's
Right.
how they do all through social media, through texting. That's how they do all of their communication now.
Right.
It's like, what is a phone call?
So talk a little bit about too then, because I know you guys are, it says on, you know, I was looking at your website and it says a boutique business. So you don't have a storefront,
We
correct?
do not.
Okay.
No, I don't want to do a storefront. And primarily, we're business to business.
Okay.
We do not do business to consumer. I always say I'm not your 31 lady. Don't bring me your baby blanket. But we are strictly, the business to the business.
Okay.
We have, I don't know if you guys have a basement here or not.
We do.
Well, then we're one of 4 houses in the state of Tennessee that has a basement. And
maybe one of 2 houses in Balance Rate that have a basement,
exactly.
right?
So, we had, when we moved into this house, that's why we picked this, that's why we picked the house that we did. We had this huge, massive open basement. So I converted pretty much almost all of it to workshop area.
Gotcha.
So we have our workshop out of the basement. We have very little foot traffic. On an occasion, I'll have a client swing by to pick something up, but we don't have the foot traffic. And as far as my employees, I know they have a dream of someday moving into a separate facility. And I'm certainly not poo-pooing that dream, but that's going to be a few years down the road.
Right.
It's like, I like my 30-second commute.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
And it's functional. I mean, we've got the workspace, we've got the storage space, we have the shipping station, we have everything we need right there.
But and 2, you also then do not have the, in terms of the affordability for you all too, you don't have to rent the property. I mean, I've understand wholeheartedly what you're saying.
Yeah,
I work out of my home.
Yeah, we don't have the overhead. So because we don't have the overhead that some of the local competitors that actually have a storefront or an actual facility, because we don't have that overhead, we can be a little bit more flexible on our pricing.
Gotcha. So, like, in terms of orders, like how many, like you talked about, let's talk about that a little bit. In terms of your orders, do you do mass orders, small orders, everything in between?
We do everything in between. Good example right now is we just received an order, and this was a pre-existing client. It was 5 polos and I think 15 t-shirts. It's a fairly small order, but it's nice to fill in. We've got a few minutes here. Let's knock out that order. And plus, it's an existing customer, and it's a referral partner. But then we've done things all the way up to massive product drops for Fortune 50 companies, where we're shipping 3,000 t-shirts to 3 different locations. We're organizing all of their branded swag for the product drop. So, and then everything in between.
Right.
So we have the capabilities of doing the small ones, but we've also got the ability to do the really big ones as well.
Okay, good. So let me ask this question then too. How important, because you're talking, you mentioned the word referrals, which is key. In terms of networking, how big has that been in terms of networking and being involved with different businesses in terms of the networking? How important has that been for your business?
In all honesty, that's 90% of where my business comes from, is networking and referrals. I'm one of those that I'm not a big fan of cold calling. It gives
2 of us.
It gives me personally, it gives me hives at the thought of doing it, and I don't always think it's necessarily the best method. I think there's ways you can use your time better. So yes, I belong to my big payoff has been BNI.
Right.
So I belong to that, and that organization is what has taken my business to limits that I never thought it would get to. The girls that I have working for me, the sales manager, she's also in BNI. We're getting ready to move forward to, I joined recently another group called Brain Trust. That's like a think tank.
Okay, gotcha.
So I've done that. And we're going to look at potentially getting back into the chamber. We're going to be at the next B3 coming up.
Oh, great.
So
I'll see you then.
I've really kind of come into this year with a new mindset that I've got to get out more into the community.
Right, yeah.
And that's going to involve stepping outside my comfort zone and going to a lot more networking events.
Right. Absolutely. B3 you will enjoy.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I've been a long time goer of it.
Yeah. So I will be there.
We're excited. Shout out to Eric and Dennis there at B3.
Yes. And I'd also like to invite you next Tuesday at the Rudder.
Okay.
BNI is having an open networking event.
Great.
Where it's like, come one, come all, have some appetizers, and just do some networking.
Oh, that sounds great, yeah.
So,
what time was that?
Oh, you're catching me off guard.
I cut you off guard. You can text me.
I can text that to you, or I can open it 5 to 7.
Oh, great. Next
Rudder.
Tuesday, 5 to 7. Okay, great.
I'll send you a text follow-up.
All right, good deal.
But
deal. So what, in terms of also the networking aspect, how much social media involvement do you have with your business?
We're doing a lot more.
Okay.
That over the last, I want to say 3 years has kind of been a goal of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, originally it was to get a website. We've got that up and going. Then it was to get a presence on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got a presence. But now actively, I would say over the last year, we are growing through Facebook, through Instagram. We're growing that presence. We're trying to figure out that perfect sweet spot.
Yeah.
And then Meta goes in and changes all the configurations on you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on Instagram, so it's like Meta. I just saw a thing last night and I watched it. Meta again. Instagram's changed and everything. Like Brock Johnson, who is the Instagram guru, said, and I got a guide from him how to even monetize your Instagram. But it's like they're saying now they're pushing more and more reels.
Yes.
It used to be you do, so it's now go heavy with reels. I'm like, okay, so we're coming back to where I started, but you gotta be in. They want you to be on the reels, transparent.
Yes.
Be yourself. Don't be.
Yes, and that's
so
what
scripted.
That's really what we're working on. We have, in the analyzation process, we have determined that the videos gain more followers, the reels, and especially, I don't want to say goofy ones, but the engaging ones where you can do something to engage more people, whether it be a day in the life of, or, what are you wearing Wednesday, just things that are more engaging, just a single picture, a stagnant, it's not as effective as it used to be.
Right.
But it's a work in progress, I should say. And we're constantly trying to come up with new content. One of the things that we are going to do involving our social media, and I brought you one, is
great.
A promotion called 100 Cups of Coffee.
Great.
Now, as much as I would like to take credit for this, I can't. But I do put my own little spin on things. But it's 100 cups of coffee and 100 conversations, because every great story starts with a conversation.
Absolutely.
So in exchange, what I do is I'm going out and in an effort to step outside my comfort zone and network more, meeting with somebody, buying them a cup of coffee, giving them a mug, and just having them tell me the story, kind of like what you're doing. Tell me the story about your business. And then in exchange for their time, I'm going to take and put them on my Facebook page.
Right.
So do a little bit of cross promotion.
Right, exactly.
So that's one of the big things that I'm doing this year. So my goal is by the end of the year to have 100 cups of coffee with people.
Fantastic.
And
coffee is a good thing to have.
It is.
People to tell stories.
Yes. Like I said, every good story starts with a conversation.
Absolutely. Great. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit too, jumping back to customers. What do you want? You've already addressed this a little bit, but even a little more of a deep dive. What do you want your customer experience and your clients, their experience to be with you all?
I want them to be able to take a deep breath and a sigh of relief, because that's something they don't have to worry about. All they have to do is call me and say, hey, or one of my project managers or my sales manager, and say, hey, I need XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. And I want them to be able to wash their hands of it and just have it show up on their front porch.
Great.
So I want them to feel a sense of ease and comfort and trust that they tell us once, we get it done the right way. We do our job so we can make your life easier.
Gotcha. That's great. That's great. So then, in terms of, you've mentioned too already networking, how has the community received you all? And then in terms of giving back to the community, obviously you already recommended first responders, but how else do you look at you all giving back to the community? But then how has the community received you guys?
That is a work in progress.
Okay.
In terms of finding, with a small business, you have limited funds. One of the things that just through networking that I've come across is a place in Nashville called The Next Door.
Mm-hmm.
It is a facility that focuses on, it's a treatment facility that focuses on women who have experienced abuse, substance abuse, things like that. So we work with them. In terms of how we've been received by the community, we've gained, like Our Lady of the Lake, Hendersonville Soccer. We have clients in the community, and we spend a lot of time as well as some money giving back to those programs.
Right.
So, for example, at Our Lady of the Lake, if they have a pop-up shop, that's not within our contract that they're going to pay us X number of dollars.
Right.
But because they use me, I want to help them. So we'll come out on a Sunday and we'll pop up a shop and sell their merchandise for them.
Great.
So that's kind of it. It's a work in progress.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
And so along that lines, then, work in progress, what are some of the future plans that you guys have for Topstitch Embroidery Plus? I mean, you have hinted at some things, but in terms of more social media influence, but what else are some things that you're allowed to share?
We definitely want to scale up.
Okay.
And what I mean by scale up, we want to scale up revenue-wise. We want to, ideally, yes, and this is going to be when I'm able to sit back and say, go ahead. We do want to maybe have we're going to outgrow where we are. We're already close to capacity. So find a location where we can set up a shop, grow in employees. But as for me, as a personal goal, I would like to, within 3 years' time, have grown enough and achieved enough revenue that my husband can retire corporate America.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We have a couple of side businesses going that fall under the realm of Topstitch Embroidery Plus. Those are a little bit on the secret side right now.
Gotcha.
But we're working on some other little side businesses as well. So, awesome. But I guess the big thing, though, to answer your question is, it's just we're working on marketing strategies. We're working to increase our revenue. We're working to get more of a community presence. We want to meet more people. That's the big thing.
Yeah, that's a great goal. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
meeting more people, more conversations, building relationships.
Yes, because that's basically the essence of our business. It's we have a wide variety. We have thousands of products. But businesses like mine are a dime a dozen. You can go online and order branded merchandise without even having to talk to a person. But working with us is what makes it gives you more of a comfort zone. And we build those relationships, and that's why they keep coming back.
And that's a great point, because you have to, in like your business, my business, set yourself apart from everybody else.
Yep, and that's how we do it. We do it by the level of customer service that we give, knowing that they can't. It's not uncommon for us to get a text at 5:30 on a Friday saying, oh my gosh, I have to spend this money tonight. Can you please help us out? Well, 5:30 on a Friday night, we'd much rather be doing other things.
Right.
But I'm not going to tell a good client no.
Right.
I mean, like, all right, I gotcha. We'll get it taken care of.
So along that lines, and someone that wants to get into this industry, what advice would you give someone trying to get into a similar design, shirts and things of that nature, like you guys do? What would be the advice you would give to them?
There's a lot of businesses out there that do it, but I think if you have a creative idea, you need to run with it. There's room to grow.
Right.
There's a little bit of room for everybody. You have to think about, what are you going to do to set yourself apart and find your niche.
That's so key.
Yeah.
I think, what's the expression, the riches are in the niches?
Yes, exactly. And that's something that actually COVID did for me. When everybody was closing their doors during COVID,
right,
I thrived because I found a little thing called drop shipping. I had, some big customers that had salespeople in the field. They weren't able to shut their doors.
Right.
They had to just transition to work from home, but they still had to reward their salespeople with branded swag. And I had a customer say, I can't put one more box in my garage. And I'm like, well, I can help you with that. Why don't you let me order all the stuff? I'll store it. I've got the room, and then I'll drop ship it to your individual reps, so you don't even have to touch it. It was brilliant. They loved it. They lapped it up. So that's kind of how I just exploded. So on any given day, I'd be sending out 350 t-shirts or 350 coolers. UPS and the post office loved me. They still do. But it was just going that little extra mile of offering the inventory management,
right,
and the distribution of it, that just was such a sigh of relief from them, because they didn't have to clutter up their garage anymore.
Right.
And they certainly didn't have to worry about moving the product. They let me do it for them.
Okay, great. And then when you guys do like the t-shirts, things of that nature, do you end up, is that hired out to another business? Do you guys do it yourself?
Depends.
It depends.
Okay. We have the ability to do it ourselves, but depending on what our production load is,
okay,
we do have partners that we work with.
Okay.
So, we have done as many as, last month we had, I want to say, about 2,000 t-shirts that we had to crank out. And because of the turnaround time, we did keep that in-house.
Okay.
And we just it was all hands on deck. It was late hours, but you know what? We got it there by the deadline.
Gotcha.
We made it happen.
Gotcha. And what are some of the other products besides t-shirts? Because we've talked about that.
T-shirts is just such a small piece of it. I feel like a good chunk of our business is the branded merchandise.
Okay.
The mugs, the pins, the swag, the stuff we all get, per se. But then, yes, we have a wide variety of polos, from the cheap brand all the way in up to the high end, where you can spend $150, $250 on a polo.
Wow.
And trust me, people do. So we've got the embroidered corporate apparel. We have the t-shirts, but we have all of the promotional product items that you can do. And pretty much, if you want to put a brand on it, we can do it, or we can source it.
Gotcha. Good deal.
Yep.
Good. Well, Margaret, where can people go and find you?
Yes, they can find us on Facebook.
Okay.
They can find us on Instagram. And if you go into Facebook or Instagram and you send me a direct message, I will buy you a cup of coffee and give you one of my mugs.
All right, great.
Yes.
Great. And do you guys also have a website as well?
We do. It is topstitchembroideryplus.com.
All right. Well, Margaret, thanks for coming on Discovering
Thank
615.
you for having me. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you on there. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And everybody have a great day, and God bless.
Have a great day.